Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, for the first time, Chadian troops cross over into Nigeria to keep up the pressure on Boko Haram militants. Abuja says that its sovereignty has not been compromised by the ramping up in regional military cooperation in tackling the extremists. Also, an academy for the stars. The night before the Ivorian Elephants faced down the Congolese Leopards at the African Cup of Nations semi-final, we head to Abidjan to meet some of the city's, hopefully, future football greats. And campaigners in Tanzania say that they're worried about the growing number of fatal witch hunts in the country. Those singled out for suspicion and persecution are often vulnerable, isolated and elderly. For the first time, Chadian troops have entered Nigeria as part of a regional fight back against Boko Haram. Armoured vehicles and infantry crossed over from Cameroon after days of airstrikes there around Nigeria's northeastern border. Around 2,000 Chadian troops have moved in an intensified campaign against the jihadists. Fighting is centred around Gamburu, and several other towns have reportedly been liberated. Now, the African Union's authorised a force around 7,500 troops from Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, Niger and Benin, and in a further sign of mounting international action, French military aircraft are providing surveillance support. Well, Chika Odoa joins us now for more. Chika, so how big a deal is it that Nigeria is finally allowing foreign troops onto its soil in the fight back against Boko Haram? Who's running things?
Well, I think this is a huge deal. The fact that more than 2,000 Chadian troops were deployed Tuesday morning shows that this truly is a regional fight. Nigerian defense spokesperson has said that the Nigerian military is still in control of this defense. It's not just Chad, it's also all the nations that are surrounding the Lake Chad Basin, which, of course, many people say that's where Boko Haram has many encampments. So we're talking Chad, we're talking Niger, Cameroon, and, of course, Nigeria. So he's claiming that Nigeria's territorial integrity is intact. And, again, this is coming against the National Security Advisor's refusal to allow AU or UN-backed troops into Nigeria. So I think they're trying to push this regional fight to show that they can handle it. They don't need foreigners coming from the AU and, again, United Nations.
So could this genuinely mark a turning point in the battle against Boko Haram?
I would say yes, because this shows again that Chad, the four countries I mentioned, they're all in this together because they see this as a threat. Nigeria's displaced people are moving into their territories, into these other countries, so that's putting a strain on these economies as well. And they're seeing that, and Cameroon has really stepped up under the leadership of President Paul Biya, who has been sidelined in the past, but he's really stepped up and taking some legitimacy as far as trying to say something as far as what's happening with Boko Haram. Even France has cooperated with Cameroon. So I think this is a step forward to finally defeating the force that is Boko Haram.
Thanks very much. Chika Odoa there for us in Abuja.
Thank you so much.
Now, in other news, hundreds of Kenyan teachers protested in front of Parliament in Nairobi on Tuesday, demanding that the government transfer them out of the northern regions bordering with Somalia. They've refused to return to work for fear of cross-border attacks by Somali al-Shabaab extremists. Many of those at the demonstration worked close to Mandera, where last November jihadists hijacked a bus and singled out and executed 28 non-Muslims on the roadside. 22 were teachers. 10 days later, al-Shabaab massacred 36 quarry workers in a similar way. And attacks in the northeast have intensified since Kenya sent troops into Somalia in 2011. Zambia's newly elected president tried to reassure investors rattled by a controversial tax hike for mining companies. Royalties were tripled last month. Mining firms say that they can't cope and have threatened to cut jobs. Edward Lungu has said that he'll start talks with affected businesses. Nicolas Chemin has more.
Zambia's new president, Edgar Lungu, is trying to calm investors. They are furious after his government tripled mining royalties from 6 to 20% last month. On Tuesday, Lungu said he wanted an amicable settlement to resolve the row. The leader of the opposition, Hakainde Hichilema, says the new tax will force mines to shut down.
If the mines close, jobs will be lost. And I'm not talking about a few jobs here. I'm talking about thousands of jobs in an economy which is already suffering from high levels of unemployment.
During the campaign, Lungu focused on the working class, the grassroots support base of former President Michael Sata, who died in office in October, aged 77. Today, some economists support the new tax.
I think that the conglomerates that are running mines now should not quarrel too much over this tax thing. We should be talking about equity, not only tax, but also equity. I would rather we see a situation where Zambians have a stake in the mines.
Zambia is Africa's second biggest copper producer. The mineral accounts for around 70% of foreign exchange earnings. This is why Lungu has promised to solve the mining tax row as soon as possible.
Ivory Coast and its golden generations of player are up against DRC in the semi-finals of the Africa Cup of Nations on Wednesday night. Now, the majority of the Ivorian greats went to the famous ASEC Academy in Abidjan, but over the last 15 years, more than 100 other football schools have sprung up around the country. One of them, the Ivoire Academy on the outskirts of the capital, has built up a particularly stellar reputation amongst would-be stars. Our correspondents went to have a look.
The potential stars of the future. 40 young athletes train among the palm trees beside the lagoon. This academy produced both Jovinho and Seydou Doumbia. It's now thought of as one of the best in West Africa.
Coming here is one step closer to realizing the dream. All of us want to become professional players. And when you leave your neighborhood and the dusty pitches to come here, and you see the grass and everything is professional, you know you're moving forwards.
7 pitches and an all-purpose gym. The infrastructure is impressive. There is confidence that future European talent lies right here in Ivory Coast.
Everyone already sees themselves as a star. Everyone says, I want to be Drogba, I want to be Jovinho. But first they have to know that before becoming these big stars, there are many stages to go through.
They train 20 hours a week. Everyone is hoping to become a footballing legend. But the academy is not only about the beautiful game. School is compulsory too. Maths, French and history are mandatory. They follow the same curriculum as the rest of the country.
After football, what are they going to become? Can they retrain? It's this transition that we are preparing them for. That is our goal here, to make these kids into people who have something else to offer.
The training here is free, but this kind of academy is an exception, and selection is tough. Only a handful of young Ivorians can hope to one day reach their dreams.
Now, in Tanzania, every year, hundreds of people are killed when their neighbours turn on them, accusing them of witchcraft. Many of those hunted down are elderly and live on the edges of their communities. The government's vowed to crack down on the witch doctors who often single out the victims and spark the panicked hunts.
2 years ago, Sofia Shadrack's mother was accused of witchcraft and brutally killed by a mob. Terrified and grieving villagers claimed she and 3 other women had enchanted a hyena which killed a young boy. The following night, the women were murdered and their homes destroyed.
They
cut her with machetes. Then they took firewood, mattresses, an iron sheet, and burned her, like you would cook fish or meat.
Tanzanian rights groups say such killings are on the rise. 765 executions related to witchcraft were logged in 2013 alone. Faced with tragedy or the inexplicable, witch doctors have been known to point the finger at unsuspecting individuals. Marginalised older women are often singled out. Those who spark sometimes fatal mass hysteria seldom face repercussions themselves.
If you tell the patients that they have been bewitched by somebody, you just create a conflict between the two. That is when killings can happen.
Behind the suspicion often lies a more sinister motive: greed.
They think the only way to access that property, be it cows, be it farms, be whatever, is to claim that this lady is a witch, and in so doing, then it justifies for her death.
A simple accusation of witchcraft can condemn a woman to death, leaving her property and wealth to the accuser.
Well, that wraps up Eye on Africa. Stay with us, so a short break and more coming up.